Merry Christmas Eve to you all. It is April from Getting Hygge With It. I hope you guys are enjoying your Christmas Eve. I really appreciate you spending a little time with me today, going over the books that I did not finish in 2019. Let's get into it. Now, there's nothing wrong with these books necessarily, or in some cases I think there are, but some of these I DNF'd just because they weren't jiving with me. Others were driving me nuts. The first is a book that I started on audio for a hot second, and I realized this is not the kind of book to listen to on audio. And so I DNF'd it, but I actually wouldn't mind picking it up and reading the physical copy. It's Snap by Belinda Bauer. Now this was up for a couple of awards and it's a thriller. So I'm very inclined to pick it up again because thrillers are very rarely up for awards. I don't know if you've noticed that, but they really aren't. And this is about a little boy and his sister who are in their car with their mom. I think the car breaks down or something. And the mom goes off to get help and she leaves the kids behind and says, stay here. And they stay there and stay there and stay there. And the mom never comes back. Now, the reason I DNF'd it on audio was because there were dual perspectives and I didn't know who this other perspective was. We have the perspective of the boy who is, trying to take care of his baby sister. And then we've got this other perspective. I didn't get very far into it. I would like to read that probably in physical form so I can understand what in the world is going on. It's too complicated on audio. A book that I recently DNF'd is The Fourth Trimester by Kimberly Ann Jones. This is a postpartum guide to healing your body, balancing your emotions, and restoring your vitality. My mom got me this at my baby shower, and I love the concept of this book. The fourth trimester is something nobody talks about, which is like the 3 months after your baby is born. And there's really no guide, and Lord knows I struggled majorly in those 3 months. Sleep-wise, physically, I really had a long recovery. I think it was at the 2-month mark that I stopped seeing a wound nurse? Anyway, you don't need all the details. That said, I loved the concept of this book so much, but I wanted it to be a little bit more for the everyday person. This is very serious, and I wanted to have a conversation with a mom, and maybe a mom who is knowledgeable in this field. I also really wanted strictly a Western perspective, and there was a lot of a more natural perspective. This woman is a yoga teacher, a body worker, a postpartum consultant, and there's lots of healing traditions from Chinese medicine, herbalism, and that kind of thing. I don't want any of that stuff. I'm not trying to sound, I don't know, lame, but the only reason we got pregnant was because of modern medicine. And so for all of that, I really rely on modern medicine. So I think this might have been for someone else, like my best friend. When I opened this at the baby shower, my best friend Sonia was like, I loved that. And anyway, she really enjoyed it, but I just didn't connect with it, and I hope that someone writes something like this with a medical background. That would be great. But yeah, I DNF'd it because it just wasn't working for me, and now I'm past the 4th trimester. So the next book that I DNF'd was Severance. This is an apocalyptic story about a world in which Shen fever has taken over and killed off a lot of people. And as a result, we're following this woman who lives in New York. And New York is pretty vacant. Everybody's left. and she snaps pictures of New York in its quietness, which would be very strange to experience in New York. Anyway, she meets some people who have also survived the Shen fever, and it's about their dynamics. And honestly, I was so bored. I've never been so bored by an apocalyptic book. I didn't know it was actually possible to be bored by an apocalyptic book, but I really was. I found the characters unlikable and also uninteresting. I was like, oh, why did you survive? I would have preferred if someone else survived. That's mean. But they're characters and not real people, so it's okay. Next was, I think, the most heartbreaking DNF of 2019 for me, and that was Growing Things by Paul Tremblay. This is a short story collection, horror. Now, you guys know Paul Tremblay is my favorite horror writer. I love him. And I think I've discovered that I love his novels. Not so much his short stories. They weren't terrible, but I never got into any of them. I think I got halfway through the book and I kept putting it on my TBR for the next month and the next month and the next month. I'll finish it this month. And it just didn't happen because every time I thought about going and sitting down and reading it, I was like, I want to read something else. So I'm sorry to say I DNF'd it. That said, a lot of people loved that book and all of the short stories. So, you know. Next up is 6 Wakes, which is a thriller that takes place in space, which sounds amazing to me. I was so excited for this book. In this book, we follow a group of people who live on a spaceship. I can't remember the year. It's many, many years ahead of now, obviously. And essentially, we've gotten so far advanced in science that we never die. What happens to us is we take our consciousness, all of our memories, all of our thoughts, all of our personality, and we can transport it into different bodies, and that's how we survive. So we follow a group of people who wake up from their little pods and they don't remember anything. There's a dead body on the floor. What happened? And I just thought, this is going to be the best. Like, I'm going to love this book. And I really didn't. I really kind of hated it. Nobody really takes it seriously that there's a dead body on the floor. Everybody's like, oh, whatever, blood. And there are a lot of people joking around. Like, I recognize that they don't have the same perspective of death. But that's only because they've been guaranteed to survive. Their consciousness is guaranteed to survive. And so when they discover that that is at risk, wouldn't that be even more terrifying to you? I think it would be. I just didn't buy it. Also, I listened to it on audio and the author narrated it and she was bad. It was not good. If you are going to read this book, definitely don't listen to the audio. Next up is The Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay. This was one of the books way back at the beginning of the year. I decided I was going to have 19 books I wanted to read in 2019. And I didn't do well. I either didn't like the books that I was picking up or I wasn't connecting with them. And in this case, it just was I'm not connecting with this book. This is the story of 2 Jewish cousins. During or right before World War II, one of the cousins is able to escape the Nazis and come to New York, I think. And they work together and create a comic strip. And every time something was about to happen in a book, I'd be like, oh, I bet it's going to be this and I'm going to really like it. And this is going to be the moment that I fall in love with this book. And then it'd be like, no, we're not doing that. We're doing other things over here instead. And it was just like, oh, I don't think I connect with the author and we don't think we jive. So I DNF'd that. I also DNF'd The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult. I hated that book. And I will not be reading any more Jodi Picoult. I'm done. She did not work for me at all. This is the story of a woman who goes to a bereavement group and she meets a man there, an older man, and she really connects with him. And then she finds out he's a Nazi, and she has Jewish heritage, and she doesn't know what to do with this very nice man. I found this super cliche, like cliche up the wazoo. What does that even mean? Anyway, I didn't like the writing style at all, and that is why I won't be reading any Jodi Picoult, because I was rolling my eyes and like I was hating every second of reading it. So no more of her for me. First try, last try. Finally, the last book that I DNF'd is a book that I had like guilt and like kind of embarrassment that I DNF'd it, because it's so beloved, and it's The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is a book that I picked up. I got really excited. I'm like, this is going to be great. And then I put it down and I never wanted to pick it up again. Like, no, don't make me do this. And so I didn't. This is the story of a group of university kids who are super privileged, like really privileged. They're studying classical literature. Is it classical literature or philosophy? I think it's classical literature. In any case, they're very highbrow, and that should have warned me. I knew that they were like unlikable characters. I don't mind an unlikable character, but I really hate unlikable characters that are highbrow and like only read this and only listen to Tchaikovsky. And I don't like those people in real life. I can't connect with them. I'm like, who are you really? Like, who are you really? When you're alone in the world, let me know. And I couldn't stand them. And so I DNF'd it. I also found it kind of slow, and it just didn't work for me. I am going to try Donna Tartt again. I don't know whether I should try The Goldfinch or her other book. Let me know in the comments below what you think I should do. I keep seeing The Goldfinch is available to watch on like Apple TV, and I keep thinking, oh, I really want to watch it, but I want to read it first. But the book is enormous, so we'll see what I actually end up doing there. So those are all of the books that I DNF'd in 2019. I just could not do it. I tried. Oh, I tried and failed. I couldn't do it. And you know, I think DNFing books is a really healthy thing. I think it really helps you out to just step back and put down something you're not liking and pick up something that might change your perspective on something, or just might be like really, really fun to read. So I'm glad that I DNF'd these. There's still a little bit of guilt about The Secret History, but there you have it. Let me know in the comments below, what is the book that you DNF'd this year that you were like unbelievably happy that you did? You put it down, no regrets. I want to know what that book is. I hope you have a magical, wonderful Christmas, and I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a video of Nora's first Christmas. I've been collecting little snippets of her throughout December, and I was going to actually have that as today's video, but I thought, wouldn't it be nice if we also took some video of Christmas Eve and then a little bit of Christmas morning? So it'll be going up like afternoon, Christmas afternoon, because I just wanted it all. So that might be a long one. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.